Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. I hope you had a good weekend. I sure did. It's kind of snowing right now, which I don't. It wasn't really supposed to do that today, but it's doing it. So here we are. I had a weekend. I had a good weekend. I had the house to myself on Saturday, which is a very rare event, a very, very rare event. I had my kids, and my kid had state thespian stuff to do, and then Malia went home to her family's. So I had a Saturday of like 8 hours, 6 hours by myself. That was neat. I have every morning by myself for a few hours, but it's not. I can't be loud. I can't come down here and do stuff. We've talked about that. So I like when it's just me and I get to come down and do some things. I did, and I got to come down and work on this project, which I believe I had started this already. Did I? There's no way I just did this on Saturday. This much on. Did I do all of this on Saturday? I guess I did. Yeah, I guess I did all of this on Saturday. This is a box, and I don't want to give it away too much. It's for a friend, and though I don't believe he watches this or knows of the existence of this channel, he could potentially see this. So I'd rather not give away too many details, but it's a finger-jointed box. It is currently sized too big on purpose. There's dados in here because there will be a piece inset, so it's going to go together. And if you've ever made a box, a good way of making a box like this is to make the box complete, top and bottom, and then after it's complete and glued and assembled and whatever, then you cut on the table saw, you cut the lid off. So that's what I'm doing here. This will be a box. There'll be, like I said, there'll be an oak piece like this in the top and bottom. The rest of the box is cherry, one up top, one down bottom. Then once it's glued and the glue sets, I will take this to the table saw and cut the top off. So Saturday, I guess, yeah, I guess I did all this on that Saturday. Well, I did a little bit yesterday. I did the sanding yesterday. But I got all the pieces cut out on Saturday. So 2 sides, 2 ends, and then 2 tops and bottoms with the rabbits and the dados. And it came out really, really nice. I really, really enjoy the look of white oak and cherry. When they are combined, right now, if I hold this up, there's not a whole lot of difference between the white oak and cherry. In fact, I mean, I guess you can kind of tell. But cherry gets a really rich color once it's aged for a little while, especially if it's set in the sun. It'll turn a real dark, nice color. In my experience, white oak does not do that. This is about as dark as it'll ever get. It'll get a little bit darker, but it's not going to turn brown. It's going to stay this kind of nice light color. And so it'll be a real nice contrast. The grain contrast I really enjoy, whatever. So I got a little obsessive with this one. I'll show you something. So I screwed up these 2 pieces, so I have 2 extras. These were supposed to be the end pieces, but I cut the fingers on the short side, not the long side. Finger joints go together. If you don't know what finger joints are, these might not fit very well. Finger joints go together like that, make a nice box. There's a few things to think about when you do this sort of project. For one, I knew that I wanted to have this dado cut because I want the lid to not be inset. So normally, if you had just like a 1/4 inch piece of plywood, there would be a 1/4 inch lip here, and I don't want that. So I wanted the lid to be flush with the top, though I did create a profile here so that there's a transition. But this is flush-ish with the top. The problem is when you do that, I cut this groove. You can do it a couple ways. You could do it by hand. You could do it on the router and stop the cut before you get to the ends, or you can just cut all the way through. And I thought about it for a while. When I made my test box, I decided to just cut it all the way through, and then what will happen is 2 of the fingers will get cut off, and I just plug them. I plug them with a couple little pieces, and it's basically invisible. And so I decided that's what I would do with this guy. I would cut those grooves all the way through, plug them. The other thing is, so imagine these go together, and now I need to cut them into halves because I'm going to turn this into a box. And so one part of this is the lid, one part of this isn't the lid. Well, if I cut, these are 1/4 inch fingers. If I cut through one of them with a table saw, it's going to look funny because there's going to be, it's not going to line up in whatever. So what I did was I made these panels. These are actually 1/2 inch wider than they need to be, so that when I cut out the lid and the bottom, I'm going to cut 2 complete fingers, which means that my finger joint pattern will look correct. It'll line back up, and the fingers will be, there won't be a one missing, and so it won't go this way, and then this way. It'll keep alternating. It'll be this, and as opposed to if I just cut one out, there would be an obvious pattern change. So if I cut 2 out, I don't think I can make my fingers do that. Then that means that the pattern will line back up and it'll look just like a finger jointed box. So I got a little obsessive, but I think it's worth it. I'm really close to gluing this together. I need to put one more coat of finish on the inside, and then I might put a coat just inside of this. There will be a tiny, tiny gap between this and the outside of the box, so I think I need a little tiny bit of finish in here. I haven't sanded this top yet, but I need to get that all situated, and then I'll put it all together. And hopefully I've got a pretty good fit between this oak and this cherry. I'm hoping that it's not too loose. I don't want this moving around once it's in there, so we'll see. But I just need to put another coat on these guys and then glue it all together. I'm a little concerned about the glue. These finger joints, if you could see here, these aren't necessarily pairs, but these are a little too tight. These are a lot too tight. They basically won't go together unless I pound them together. On these, I did take a small sanding stick and try to sand the fingers a little bit, but it didn't do great. That fits together a little bit better, and that's kind of close to how the fit is on these, which is too tight. If I put glue on here, glue on these fingers, and then try to put it together, they will swell, and I'll never get it together that cleanly. So I need to do something about that. I've thought about maybe using polyurethane glue. I've heard good things about that process. I've thought about using epoxy. I've seen people put together a box like this and then just put thin cyanoacrylate glue or super glue on it, and it'll just weep in there and it'll glue. But this is going to be holding a significant amount of weight, so I don't know that I want to trust super glue by itself. So I might take a file and try to file these open just ever so slightly, and then just use the smallest amount of wood glue I can, so that it doesn't swell, and try to get it together as quickly as possible. That might be my best option, but hopefully by next week this will be done. It should be. I don't foresee any major problems. It's going to have hinges, it's going to have latches, it's going to have a handle, but it should go pretty quick. So we shall see. That was my weekend. I did that. I did a bunch of reading. Spent some time with my dad. I did finish the book that I said I wasn't going to finish, My Best Friend's Exorcism. I did finish it, and I ended up liking it. So maybe we'll do a review on that this week. And then I'm reading another book right now that I actually very much like. And it was one of those like impulse $2 buys. But I'm enjoying it a lot. So have another book review coming soon. What'd you get up to? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is torpor. It is a noun meaning apathy and indifference. A multitude of causes unknown to former times are now acting with a combined force to blunt the discriminating powers of the mind and unfitting it for all voluntary exertion to reduce it to a state of almost savage torpor. William Wordsworth, a British romantic poet. Torpor, T-O-R-P-O-R. That's a good word, and I think I definitely knew that word at some point in my life, but I have forgotten it. I think I need to bring that one back into use for me. I mean, I'm sure people still use it.